Be me. 42F, operations manager at a regional distribution company. Been here for 8 years working my way up. We handle logistics for about 200 retail clients across 5 states. Company employs 85 people, warehouse teams, logistics coordinators, drivers. Mix of men and women, but leadership is mostly guys. Been wanting to change that since I got promoted 2 years ago. CEO is Mark, he's 61, founded this company in the 90s. Traditional approach, but open to new ideas if they improve efficiency. Our leadership team is me, 3 warehouse supervisors, 2 logistics leads. 5 men, just me as the woman in senior management. Always felt like the token woman at the table. My assistant manager Rachel is brilliant, but keeps getting passed over. 2 female logistics coordinators who never get leadership opportunities. The men aren't terrible people, but it's very much an old boys club. Decisions get made at lunch. I'm rarely invited. They reference conversations I wasn't part of. When I speak up, my ideas need more justification than theirs. Classic stuff, nothing dramatic, but exhausting over time. Spent months reading about inclusive leadership practices. Found this concept called rotating leadership roles. The idea is everyone takes turns leading projects, breaks down hierarchies, develops skills across the team. Sounded perfect for our situation. Presented it to Mark in his office last month. Explained how rotating leadership would develop our bench strength. Give women and junior staff real leadership experience. He listened, nodded, said it sounded innovative. Asked how it would work with our current project structure. I had a whole plan ready. Every major project would have a different team lead. Lead rotates monthly based on a schedule I created. Team lead makes decisions, runs meetings, reports to me. Even people who've never led before get their turn. Mark seemed skeptical, but said I could try it. Just make sure client deliveries don't get disrupted. I assured him everything would run smoothly. Called a leadership meeting to announce the new structure. All the supervisors and leads gathered in the conference room. Unveiled my rotating leadership initiative with a presentation. Starting next week, we rotate project leadership monthly. Rachel gets first rotation leading the new warehouse reorganization. Then Marcus from shipping, then Jennifer from logistics coordination. Everyone gets a turn regardless of title or experience. The room went quiet. Finally, Jake, one of the warehouse supervisors, spoke up. These people don't have experience managing million-dollar projects. Rachel's great, but she's never led a warehouse team before. That's exactly the point, I said. She'll never get experience if we don't give her the opportunity. Tom, another supervisor, chimed in. What happens when clients need answers and the lead doesn't know them? The lead will have support, I explained. But they need to own the decisions. I could see resistance on every face. But I'm the operations manager. This was happening. Week 1 of the new system. Rachel started leading the warehouse reorganization project. She's smart, organized, has great ideas. But she's never managed the warehouse guys before. They're used to taking orders from Jake and Tom. First meeting, Rachel tries to assign new rack configurations. One of the senior warehouse workers pushes back. We've always done it this way. Why change it now? Rachel explains the efficiency gains, but he's dismissive. Looks past her to Jake like waiting for the real boss. Jake doesn't back her up, just sits there. Rachel powers through, but I can see she's rattled. Later, she comes to my office, near tears. They won't listen to me. They're waiting for Jake. I tell her to stand firm. They need to adjust. But I can tell she's losing confidence. Week 2 and the warehouse reorganization is behind schedule. Rachel spent too much time trying to build consensus. The warehouse guys slow-walked every change. Meanwhile, Marcus from shipping is supposed to lead the new routing system. He's a detail guy, great with spreadsheets. But he's never managed people or led meetings. First project meeting, he presents his routing analysis. Gets through 3 slides before Tom interrupts. This doesn't account for driver preferences and union rules. Marcus looks confused. I didn't know I needed to include that. Tom rolls his eyes. This is why we need experienced leads. Meeting derails into Tom explaining everything Marcus missed. Marcus basically stops talking, lets Tom take over. After the meeting, Marcus comes to me frustrated. I don't know what I'm supposed to be leading here. If Tom's going to override everything, why am I in charge? Valid question. I tell Tom later he needs to let Marcus lead. Tom says someone has to keep things on track. Week 3, and I'm getting complaints from clients. Warehouse reorganization delayed shipments to 3 major retailers. Routing system changes confused drivers, packages going wrong places. Mark calls me to his office. We're getting complaints. What's going on? I explain the new system needs time to settle. He's not happy but gives me another 2 weeks. Week 4, Jennifer gets her turn leading the inventory audit. She's been a logistics coordinator for 4 years. Smart woman, knows the system inside and out. But she's quiet, doesn't like confrontation. Inventory audit requires coordinating warehouse, shipping, and purchasing. Jennifer sends out meeting requests. Half the team doesn't show. Those who do show up treat it like a joke. One guy literally says this is cute, but when do we start for real? Jennifer tries to maintain authority, but she's clearly uncomfortable. I sit in on the next meeting to support her. My presence helps, but I can see everyone's looking to me for decisions. Jennifer's just going through the motions. The project stalls completely. 2 months into rotating leadership, and everything's falling apart. Warehouse reorganization is 6 weeks behind and over budget. Routing system created more problems than it solved. Inventory audit never got off the ground. Team morale is at an all-time low. The supervisors are frustrated they can't just do their jobs. The people getting rotated in feel set up to fail. Even Rachel, who I thought would thrive, is demoralized. Clients are complaining. Mark is getting pressure from the board. I call an emergency leadership meeting. Everyone files in looking exhausted and annoyed. Before I can speak, Jake jumps in. This isn't working, we need to go back to normal structure. Tom agrees, we've lost 2 months and thousands of dollars. Marcus says, I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm not a project leader. I want to go back to my logistics analysis work. Jennifer quietly adds that she prefers her coordinator role. Even Rachel speaks up. I thought I wanted this, but leading without actual authority is impossible. Nobody respects my decisions because they know next month it'll be someone else. I sit there realizing I've created a disaster. Everyone's miserable, projects are failing, clients are angry. And the people I was trying to help feel worse than before. That afternoon, Mark calls me to his office again. The board wants to know when we're returning to normal operations. I try to explain that meaningful change takes time. He cuts me off. We can't afford more time. Clients are threatening to leave. We're bleeding money. Either fix this immediately, or we're ending the experiment. I spend the weekend reviewing everything that went wrong. The data is damning. Project completion rates down 60%. Client satisfaction scores dropped 35 points. Employee engagement survey shows lowest ratings in 5 years. 3 warehouse workers submitted resignation letters. 2 citing the chaos and unclear leadership as reasons. I realize I never actually asked people what they wanted. I assumed everyone wanted leadership opportunities. But Marcus just wants to optimize routes. Jennifer likes coordination, but not conflict. Rachel wanted respect in her current role, not a new one. I force my vision of empowerment onto people, without asking if that's what would actually empower them. Monday morning, I call another leadership meeting. Start by saying I need to apologize. I implemented rotating leadership to create opportunities, but I didn't ask what opportunities you actually wanted. I made assumptions about what would help without listening. Jake looked surprised. Wasn't expecting that. I continue. Effective immediately, we're returning to traditional structure. Projects will be led by people with expertise and authority. But I want to know what would actually help each of you. Spend the next hour just listening. Rachel says she wants respect in her assistant manager role, not a temporary project lead position that nobody takes seriously. Marcus wants training in conflict management and communication. so he can be more effective in his current role. Jennifer wants a clear path to senior coordinator, with more responsibility but not people management. The warehouse guys want consistent leadership they can trust. They're willing to listen to new ideas from Jake and Tom, but not from someone who'll be gone next month. Every single person wants something different from what I planned. That evening, I write up a new proposal for Mark. Ending rotating leadership immediately. Returning to expertise-based project assignments, but creating actual development paths for people who want them. Mentorship program where people can learn skills voluntarily. Clear promotion criteria so people know what advancement requires. Regular feedback loops so I actually hear what people need. Mark approves it, seems relieved. Tells me he appreciates that I tried something innovative, but also that I recognized when to change course. Next 3 months are about rebuilding. Jake and Tom take back the warehouse projects. Make Rachel an official assistant supervisor with real authority. She thrives because now people know she's permanent leadership. Marcus goes back to routing analysis, signs up for management training. Jennifer creates a senior coordinator role with her input. Gets a raise and more responsibility, no people management. Slowly projects get back on track. Client complaints decrease. Team morale improves. 6 months later, our metrics are back to normal. Actually better than before in some areas. Rachel as permanent assistant supervisor improves warehouse efficiency. Marcus's routing optimization saves money without the chaos. Jennifer's senior coordinator role fills a real gap we had. But here's what I learned the hard way. Rotating leadership sounds great in theory. Breaks down hierarchies, develops skills, creates opportunities. But it only works when people actually want those opportunities. And when the rotation timeline makes sense. Monthly rotation means nobody builds real authority. Nobody has time to learn before they're replaced. Team never knows who to respect or follow. For some roles, consistency matters more than innovation. Warehouse teams need stable leadership they trust. Logistics coordination needs clear decision-making. Clients need consistent points of contact. Rotating leadership broke all of that. The feminist in me wanted to create opportunities for women. But I forgot to ask what opportunities they actually wanted. Rachel didn't need a temporary project lead role. She needed permanent authority in a position that fit her skills. Jennifer didn't want people management. She wanted recognition and advancement in her coordinator path. I projected my own ambitions onto them. Assumed everyone wanted what I wanted. Leadership roles, decision-making authority, management responsibility. But some people genuinely prefer different kinds of contribution. That doesn't make them less empowered. Just empowered in different ways. Year after the rotating leadership disaster, I'm in a performance review with Mark. He brings up the failed initiative. Says it was expensive, but I learned from it. That most managers would have kept pushing, refusing to admit it wasn't working. But I adapted when I saw the reality. That's valuable even though the initial approach failed. I tell him I learned to actually listen, not just assume I know what people need. He nods. That's harder than it sounds, especially when you care about making things better. These days, we still work on inclusivity, but in ways people actually asked for. Rachel is on track to become warehouse manager, with real authority and team support. 2 female logistics coordinators getting leadership training, because they asked for it, not because I forced it. We created a mentorship program that's voluntary. People who want to develop leadership skills can. Those who don't aren't pressured to. Marcus is much more confident in his communication. Took the training, applies it in his coordinator role. No interest in full leadership, but more effective in his position. Jennifer designed a whole senior coordinator career path for people who want advancement without people management. Turns out several team members wanted exactly that. Our team is more diverse in leadership now, but it happened organically over time, not through forced rotation that made everyone miserable. I still think about those 2 months sometimes. How certain I was that I was doing the right thing. How I dismissed concerns because I thought I knew better. The data and research supported rotating leadership. But the actual humans in front of me didn't want it. Should have listened to them instead of the theory. One afternoon, Rachel and I are reviewing warehouse metrics. She mentioned someone asked her about rotating leadership at a professional women's network meeting. She told them it was a disaster at our company. I asked if she wishes I'd never tried it. She thinks about it. Actually, no. Because it showed you were serious about creating opportunities. Even though it failed, you tried. And when it didn't work, you listened and adjusted. That meant more than if you'd just never tried anything. I appreciate that, but still feel the cost was high. She shrugs. We recovered. Things are better now. Sometimes you have to fail publicly to succeed eventually. That makes me feel slightly less terrible about the whole thing. 2 years later, I'm asked to speak at a management conference about innovation in operations and logistics. Almost declined because my big innovation completely failed. But then I think maybe that's exactly the story to tell. Stand on stage in front of 200 operations managers. Tell them about implementing rotating leadership. How confident I was, how thoroughly it failed. How much it cost in time, money, and morale. Watch their faces shift from judgment to recognition. Because a lot of them have similar stories. Tried something progressive that backfired. Hurt the people they meant to help. One woman approaches me after. Says she's planning a rotating leadership program. Now she's going to actually ask her team first. See if it's what they want or just what she wants. That conversation alone makes the whole talk worth it. Another manager shares his rotating project-led disaster. Different industry, exact same problems. People need time to build authority. Teams need consistency to function. Good intentions don't override operational reality. We swap stories and laugh at our shared failures. Sometimes the best learning comes from spectacular mistakes. 3 years later, and I'm still at the company. Still the only woman in senior leadership. But Rachel's being promoted to warehouse manager next month. That'll make 2 of us. We hired a woman logistics lead last year. Soon there will be 3. Not because I forced artificial rotation. Because we created real pathways and development. And supported people who wanted to advance. The feminist part of me still wishes it happened faster. Still sees the gender imbalance and wants quick solutions. But the manager part of me learned that sustainable change is slow. That you can't force empowerment. Only create conditions where it can grow. Looking back at the rotating leadership disaster, it was expensive, painful, and embarrassing. But it taught me something crucial. That changing systems is more important than changing faces. That development takes time and consistency. That listening matters more than implementing. And that failure isn't fatal if you actually learn from it. Anyway, that's my story. About implementing rotating leadership roles. Watching everything fall apart in real time. And learning that good intentions need good execution. And that execution means listening to the people you're trying to help. Not just assuming you know what they need. Our company isn't perfect now. Still has problems, still has imbalances. But at least I'm asking questions. Instead of just implementing answers. That's probably the most important thing I learned. From my very expensive, very public failure.